Hello and welcome back. In previous video, we have discussed about how to use Postman to fetch a data and test through our Postman tool. In this video, we are going to check, create, update, delete using other HTTP request, which is post for creation, put for updating a record, and delete for deleting a record. In this video, we are also going to connect with the database and we are going to perform these CRUD operations, which is create, update, and delete a record into the database. So let's begin. So to begin with, we will create a controller called department. So right click on controller, add, click on controller, and select Web API and select empty controller and click on add. Here provide the controller name. So I am going to write department and click add. Okay, our controller has got created and it is inheriting an API controller. Since we have created an API controller, so we have to check whether it is inheriting an API controller or not. So here we can see it is inheriting API controller and it is an empty controller. So to save our time, I'll just go to values controller and I'll copy the existing value from here for our get request and I will paste it into the department table in the department controller. Sorry. Here it is complaining about the missing directives. Or click on it and just use the system data. Now, since we want to perform CRUD operations on database, so we have to go to Web.Config and here just next to app settings tag, we need to add our connection string tag. Just below this app settings tag, I'm going to add our connection string tag. And here the tag name is connection strings. Under this connection string tag, I'm adding a key. The key name is employee app DB. And the connection string is we are providing the data source as dot, which means we are pointing to our local SQL server. Initial catalog as employee DB, that means we are going to work on employee DB, and I have put integrated security as true. And to work with the SQL database, we have also mentioned the provider name, which is system.data.sql client. Now, the next thing is we'll go to department controller and under here, we'll be deleting all this and we'll be creating data from the database. We'll try to fetch the data from database. So for that, first we'll write an inline SQL query. So we will go to database and check the data with the simple query. Let's go to the database. Okay, here I have a query called select star from dbo.departments. If I execute this, it is producing me 4 records from department table. And we want to use this query as an inline query. So just copy this and come back to our Visual Studio. Here type string query is equal to at the rate, put a quotation and give a semicolon, and here type our query. Okay, the reason for adding at the rate is just to make sure that press my if I press enter, so it should not give us an error. Okay, so here it is a query and it is reading till the semicolon. So now we need to read this query within SQL command, and before that we need to have a SQL connection. So we will be typing using where connection and our SQL provider system.data.sql client. So here we are creating a connection and we are reading the connection string value from the web.config file using configuration manager class, and here we have specified the app key name. If you just see this one, it is showing employee app db. If we check the same in web.config, here this is what the name we have given. Let's go back to department controller class, and here we have created the connection. Now we need to create the command. So to create the command, we have to again use the SQL command, which is going to be executed against the connection. And now to execute this, we have to use SQL adapter. So to execute these commands, we are going to use SQL adapter. SQL adapter will execute the command, and here we are going to fill our data table with the response we receive from the SQL adapter. So if we go to database, we are going to see that upon executing this query, we are receiving this output, and the same output will get generated into SQL adapter. So we are passing the command into SQL adapter and we are expecting the same output after executing this query against this connection. So against this connection, we are running this command and we are getting the response into a DA object, and this DA object will fill the data into the DT, which is nothing but our data table. Here we can also just rename just to make sure that with proper naming convention we are working. So I'll just say rename and I'll say table. So this is nothing but the table we are working on. Just click on apply. So table, we are filling this table with the response data, and here we are responding back with an HTTPS status code. Okay, and we are sending the object as table object. Let us run and see what do we get in Postman. Let's run the application and check what result we get in Postman. Upon executing, this is the URL we are receiving. Just copy this URL and simply go to Postman and click here on create a request, and here copy that URL and just follow along with slash API slash department, our controller name. And from this drop down list, select the get request and click on send. Bravo. So this is the output we were expecting as IT operations developer in security. So we are getting the records from the database. If we simply go to database, the same records are there in database as well. So by this way, we are communicating with database and we are fetching the record using our API. The same thing we'll do for the employee table as well. So we are going to create an employee controller, and the only thing which we are going to change in employee controller is the inline query. Let us see how we can do that. So just come back to our solution, right click on controller, click add, and just stop this our application first. Right click, add controller. Here select web API, select empty controller, click on add, and here we'll give our controller name as employee and click on add. Here we will copy the same logic of get method and paste it into employee controller. And here by just changing the table name, we are going to execute the same thing. Same logic, no need to change anything, just add the missing directives here and just add the missing directives for SQL connection and just read the configuration manager and just read our employee app DB connection key and yeah, rest of the things will remain same. Let us see what we have in database for employee table. And if I run this query for employees, so I'm getting two records. So if I am executing the API, it should fetch these two records. Let us see what results we are getting. So just go back to our solution folder, run the API, and just copy the URL and go to Postman. Here, I think we have the same URL. Anyway, I'm just going to paste the URL which I have got from the browser. And here I'll say API slash employee. And if you press send, it is going to display you the two records, employee ID and employee name records of it. So we have employee name Ali and employee name Hussein. And if I come back to the SQL Server, employee name Ali, employee name Hussein already there. So this way we have fetched the record from database, we have connected to database, and we have performed HTTP GET request from our API to the database. So we will end this video here itself. In our next video, we will work on put operation. Thank you. See you in our next video. Thank you.